I mean, it was a real slap in the face when I finally realised that I'd actually disowned my pet leopard gecko Mac without even knowing that I'd actually done that. I mean, I got Mac, 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. Now, where did I get him from? I got him from a reptile shop. Now, I used to do a bit of work because part of the Northern Exotics brand is we work with reptiles. That's it. So whether that be working in a shop, sometimes in reptile shops or pet shops, the reptile section sort of becomes, how do I say it, like a second thought. Not so much the care of the animals, but like the cleanliness of the glass, the dust, and just bits like that just becomes sort of a second subject for the reptile shop. So sometimes I get hired into some of these reptile shops and they just basically tell me the reptile room is yours for the day. So I'll be in there cleaning up all the glass and dusting everywhere, sorting out all the shelves, spot cleaning the animals, just general maintenance within that reptile room, and I'll get a sum for it. And that's just part of the Northern Exotics brand, along with loads of other stuff to do with reptiles. We'll do distribution, and we'll do obviously all the YouTube and the affiliate marketing that goes behind it. We'll do random runs delivering through the main part of COVID. We used to do a lot of reptile shop deliveries where we'll pick up at the reptile shop, take it to other people's houses, and we work with reptiles here at Northern Exotics. So if you like all that sort of stuff, make sure you hit the subscribe button. But I was working in a reptile shop around about 4 years ago, and I come across a leopard gecko. I pulled out the enclosure and there was a leopard gecko baby behind. It was only a newborn baby. It had lost its tail. It was dead skinny. It was skittish. So I picked it up and he said, "We've got no recollection of that happening. When did that happen? We don't breed. We don't have the eggs. We've never taken a baby. And where's that come from?" One of them. So I brought it home and I started to look after it with the whole purpose of being sort of rehabilitate this animal, getting back up to health, make sure his tail heals up really, really nicely, make sure he's feeding, make sure he's rehydrated because he was really dehydrated. And we just used to do all that sort of stuff with him. The whole purpose of it was to find him a new home afterwards, a forever home. And that just never happened with Mac. We sort of progressed within the YouTube scene and within our hobby scene, and we wanted to expand the Northern Exotics brand into breeding a few reptiles, hence why we now have the morning geckos in that enclosure there. They're breeding really well, they do really well, but we went for a stage where we bred leopard geckos and we had 7 or 8 females, a couple of males and that sort of stuff, and we'd done that for a couple of years and it was great. Mac was an absolute stud. He fathered well over 20 different babies, maybe even more than that, maybe even 30, and he done really well. But then last year we made the decision of this is going to be our last year breeding leopard geckos, solely because one of the leopard geckos, the females, was Millie, and she was our first ever pet leopard gecko, and she was just absolutely amazing, and she was a pet. We had the love for her as a pet, not so much the love as a breeder. There's two totally different definitions of that, and then we just worked like that for a while. But Millie started suffering, so did the other females. We pointed it out on them, where they would lose weight. Basically, the whole breeding process, from being basically attacked by the males to be able to breed, getting dragged around their enclosures, to the growing of the eggs, the calcium that needed to do that, the stress, the bodily energy that's needed to grow those eggs, and then to actually lay those eggs, find somewhere to lay those eggs. It must be uncomfortable, and they would go off food, and then they would binge on food, and it was just unhealthy for them to be breeders. So we sort of stopped doing it. We made the decision to stop breeding leopard geckos. So we rehomed all of the breeders. However, we kept Mac. Have you ever seen this enclosure all the way down the bottom here? And even on reptile room tour videos, I'll be walking up and say, yep, that's Mac's enclosure, and then I move away. I'd never actually get him out and show. I'd never tarted his enclosure up, made it look something like Millie's enclosure. But this is the thing. We kept Mac and Millie because in my mentality, they were the pets. The others were breeders. But my mentality for Mac was wrong because I didn't have the love for him as a pet like I thought I would. The love that I had for him was the love that a normal person would have for an animal. So I wanted to rehabilitate him, get him back up to health, and then rehome him. So I never built that attachment of a pet towards him. But I'd forgotten about that by the time it come around to coming out of breeding season. Even until only a few weeks ago, I was still in that mentality. But every time I had a task, the whole plan was to originally make his enclosure similar to Millie's enclosure in a roundabout way. Just a sort of slight differences to it and different materials and all that sort of stuff. But it never got done. It always got put on the back burners. Even general maintenance kept getting put on the back burners. oh, I'll do that tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you've forgotten about doing it. So he was never really at my forefront of my mind. I didn't have the passion for him that I really should have had, or that any loving pet owner would have. So I needed to do something. He's always just been in that bare sort of breeder setup. And it's not right. Not for me, not for this brand, not for my pets. All of my pets, you can see my green tree pythons, fully bioactive enclosure there. My bearded dragon down there, fully bioactive. My morning geckos, just everything that I have is either fully bioactive or packed with enrichment. And that enclosure just isn't. And I kept putting it off, and I shouldn't keep putting it off. He deserves better than what I can provide him. He deserves better than the love that I can provide him. It was a real realisation shock when I actually realised that fully. And I sort of got into the mindset of, right, we need to do something about this. So I started to work and I had it written on my board. I needed to spend more time with Mack, our leopard gecko over there. I needed to do it. So I did. I started handling a little bit more. I started to vary up his diet a little bit more. He was always cared for to the best of a breeder setup could care for him. He was always fed perfectly. He had the variety. He'd done everything. He was there. Happy, healthy as anything. But I just felt I could do more. He deserved more. As a reptile rescue, as a breeder, as a pet, as a leopard gecko, as a soul, he deserved more. And a breeder setup just wasn't that for him. He deserved better. So we kept handling, we kept pushing, we kept doing a lot more. But then it eventually started to slip again. So after a while, it sort of the realization hit me that something needs to be done. It's a hard one to say. He deserves better than me. So we put the thought into rehoming. How can we rehome him? Where can we put him? He has to go to somebody who can do better than me. And that's me being picky. So I never advertised him on any websites. I never done absolutely anything like that. He deserves somebody that could give him what I would ideally want to give him, but mentally I can't. So what do? We just kept our ears to the ground for about, 2 months? And just sort of, we kept it in our mind that he was going to be rehomed and we had to find somebody. But who? We just kept it in our mind. Somebody would pop up here, there and everywhere. Originally, I had a plan for, I've got my friend, she's got a leopard gecko. She cares for him exactly the same as Millie gets cared for. Really good, really enrichment, variety of diet, really happy and healthy. Well, that animal, her leopard gecko, passed away. And I thought, it's a great opportunity here for Mack. Mack might like that setup. So I raised it with her and I said, once you've finished grieving for Sammy, Mack's actually looking for a new home. And I explained to her that although he is happy and healthy here, he could get better care with you. You can give him better pet care. So she'll be there she'll physically want to handle him rather than me having to be reminded to handle him. And just general bits like that. She could do better. So that's what we did. We put that in the pipeline and we sort of left it at that for a bit. A week later, I got the message. I'm a bit ready now. Every time she comes over here for a coffee or for a chat or if we go out and do something, she always wants to get Mack out. So she has that love for Mack already. And I just thought, perfect scenario here. Mack will be happy. He will help you through your process and you'll be happy with him. And it's great. He went yesterday. It's a sad goodbye. We had a sad goodbye. It's the realisation again that I wasn't good enough for Mack. But now he's happy. He's healthy. And he's enriched. That's the big one. He's enriched. He's got a climbing area. He's got different textures, different surfaces. He's got loads of different hides. I mean, he's got loads of hides down there anyway. But he's just got everything that he actually needs. And that does give me a bit of a boost of confidence. I mean, he generally is going to be loved in a way that a pet deserves to be loved. Whereas here, he was just a reptile rescue. I say just a reptile rescue. He was a reptile rescue / breeder. And he's just happy now.